Howdy, and welcome to Cosplay as a Community. I am Jade Torres, your host. Thank you so much for listening today. If you haven't listened to all of the episodes, or any of the episodes in season one or season two, you can go back and watch all of them on Spotify and on YouTube. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next cosplay guest. Abstract Kinetics has been in the wonderful world of playing dress up since they were little, and officially started cosplaying at conventions as well as on social media in 2020 during the pandemic. They are a jack of all trades when it comes to the entertainment industry, combining different forms of music, makeup, fashion, and headcanons into each character that is cosplayed by her. She has since developed a style of cosplay that is recognized by some as Gyaru inspired and Kaza cosplay. Abstract Kinetics, welcome to the show.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey, it's doing great. I'm doing great. So let's go ahead and kick things off. How did you start cosplaying? What is your journey?
Well, like quite a few kids, I grew up playing dress up, especially as like Disney princesses, especially with like my birthday and Christmas, like always being given some costume as a little kid. And let's just say the interest never left. Um, by the time I was about 9 years old, I still had some of the dresses, even though I couldn't realistically like fit into them. But I was like really loving the Teen Titans series at the time, and I actually got my grandma to make me a Raven cloak whenever I was around that age, and I still have it. And that was like the first official like cosplay I think that I did. Because she was just my favorite character at the time, and I loved like doing that with her. It was a really fun project. And then, after a while I kind of was like, okay, yeah, dress up, it's cool and everything, but I never really considered cosplay up until closer to the pandemic when it just was all over my Instagram and TikTok feed, and it just literally was everywhere, and it looked like it was so much fun. Everyone who was doing it was so animated, and they put in so much work into their art and everything. I was like, you know what? I want to give this a try. So I tried closet cosplay, and realized, okay, yeah, no, this is serious. This is fun. This is something that's always been a part of me. So I'm gonna embrace it as weird and wacky as it is, and I'm just gonna go for it.
That is so real of you. I I love people who just, try stuff to try stuff, and like want to learn everything that they can possible. So I definitely commend you on that, if anything. Um, going back to when you said that you were cosplaying during the pandemic, that was something that's like stuck out to me in your bio was that you started cosplaying during the pandemic, and a lot of the other guests that I've interviewed on the podcast have also cosplayed during the pandemic or got their starts there. So if you could you describe to me how cosplaying was different during the pandemic compared to how it is now?
Yeah, so it is very different. I think what drew me to cosplay in the first place was it felt like during the pandemic, no one had any shame. And there were so many people, myself included, who were like just going on this self-discovery journey, and like realizing who they really were. And like it just felt like no one really had any shame about anything. I mean, like, of course, especially on TikTok, there was a lot of drama about really dumb things, about a lot of dumb situations that in the end do not matter and stuff. But like, it just kind of felt like everyone was just learning how to express themselves, and like what we call cringe now was cool back then. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it wasn't even like in 2020 necessarily. It was like 2017 up to 2020. And then 2020 was like kind of that peak of what even is cringe. And like it's very different now because now that the trends have come and gone and there's different things now that people do, social media as a whole, I feel like is different because not only have those people gotten older, they've grown up, they've either separated themselves from cosplay or they're still doing it. It's a completely different environment now. And I feel like it's more judgmental now than it was back then. Which back then was very freeing and very fun. And it is still very freeing and fun now, but only in the right spaces, I feel like. And so it kind of feels like now, like you have to like, how do I put this? Like you almost have to really fight to like get yourself out there if that's what you're looking for, as well as like find the right group of people to hang around, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I know that's something that a lot of my guests have really focused on or have talked about on the show is that social media is such a big presence in the cosplay community now compared to how it was back then. And I feel like with TikTok being such a new medium at that time in 2020, that had a lot to do with how it sort of created like the social change in cosplay and how it was like perceived, I feel, in that way. And I don't know if you agree with that, but at least that was how like kind of how I viewed it at certain points.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that because like I feel like even among like the different sides of TikTok, like I don't know if you remember the different sides, like there was straight talk and alt talk and stuff, like crazy stuff back then. Which I guess it still kind of exists, but no one calls it that anymore, you know. I feel like even though like those sides of TikTok were divided for different people's algorithms, I feel like it was still so normalized. Like I could talk to my more like normie friends, I guess, and they thought that I was really cool for being a cosplayer, and I just kind of thought they were cool for also being themselves too with whatever content they were making or whatever they were having fun with, and I don't know, I felt like it was just more normalized because of how much it blew up to the point of like, oh wow, like that's an anime character that someone's dressed up as and they're doing this really dramatic POV. Okay, yeah, I dig that. And it was kind of all across the board with the algorithm. Like that's if that tells you anything, that is how viral cosplay got in 2020. um
Yeah.
like 2021 too. Like 2020 and 2021 was like peak like cosplay era for a lot of people because it was very experimental. Like the jokes that you see online of like, huh, this is so 2020. I know 2021 was only a year later, but it's really the 2021 era that like really sparked a lot of trends among the cosplay community and stuff. Like I'm pretty sure I can't even list any trends right now, I'm not gonna lie, but like the heavily saturated filters and stuff didn't necessarily start with 2020, or it did, but like it blew up in 2021. That's an example.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And for any of my viewers who aren't as well versed on TikTok, of culture and subculture, a lot of the things that Abstract is pointing on were things that were like trends and stuff that were pointed out like in the pandemic around 2020 and how people were being more experimental with their cosplays, experimental with content and filters, kind of like if you were on Instagram in 2016 and you saw girls using the like Twilight blue filter. I guess that's like the best way to explain that to someone who isn't as well internet versed and them just experimenting with different types of the way their like content looks, and it just flooded into cosplay too, to my understanding. Um, but yes, I love your commentary on that. Now, going into your kind of style being experimental, I feel like something I love about you, and specifically with your cosplay, is how experimental you get with your makeup, specifically with Gyaru. So, can you explain to all of my audience who may not be familiar with Gyaru, what is Gyaru?
Yeah, I got you. So, Gyaru is a Japanese subculture, and basically its main function is to rebel against beauty standards. So, in like the Japanese society, what's considered beautiful is pale skin and like wide eyes and dark hair. I don't know, like those are just like generic traits that I feel like are just common in the beauty industry of Japan, right? But like the Gyaru subculture is what stands out because these people, men and women, tan their skin, they wear elaborate makeup, they make their eyes massive with eyeliner and like white eyeshadow type like makeup products. They wear wigs, they wear extensions, they wear like kind of like what you see of like trashy Y2K type aesthetic, like the leopard print, the short shorts, the thongs, I can't even explain it. It's a lot, lots of hair accessories. Like I feel like Gyaru and Decora are very similar with like all the hair accessories they use. Decora is just another Japanese like subculture. But basically the whole point of it is to rebel against beauty standards. And I actually like didn't even really take into account whenever I first started my makeup style as it being like Gyaru, other than like the way I draw my eyes, until I think it was one of my mutuals who pointed it out to me, like, yeah, I just love your Gyaru type style for your cosplays. And I thought to myself, wait, this is very Gyaru. That's true. And then after doing some more digging on the subculture, I realized like, yeah, no, like considering that most of the characters I cosplay are female, and I want them to have accentuated eyes with long lashes and, long nails, heavily contoured noses, and like elaborate outfits. I was like, yeah, no, this is very Gyaru. And even though I don't really cosplay from too many animes like anymore, I'm still heavily inspired by it. So it kind of also just ties into what I've been doing the last couple of years with the Gyaru type style.
Yeah, I remember the first time like went to take pictures of you, and you are still the only one that I've ever seen do that type of makeup, and it's just so unique. It's just so like beautiful in the way like it pops up on screen. Like I think it's just very unique, and I applaud you on doing something that's so different. As someone who does JoJo makeup all the time and has friends who do, I never I always applaud people that do that type of big, exotic and big looking makeup that I do myself too. So good on you for doing that. So outside of you, like eventually figuring out it was Gyaru, was there anything that inspired you to incorporate that style of makeup into your cosplays, or did you just kind of decide it on your own?
Honestly, I was inspired by the content creator. I believe their handle is CSSSCP. And then in their bio, it says their name is Celeste. So from here on, I'll call them Celeste. And basically, a few of their videos just came up on my feed with like the heavily crimped wigs, the makeup, the closet cosplays, the massive angel wings they use for like half of their cosplays. And I was like, okay, like this person is obviously doing drag. This person is like kind of taking more gothic and like Gyaru elements into their work. I applaud them. This is so unique. And like the comments in their videos were very 50-50, of very like some were hate comments, some were, whoa, this is so cool. What character is this? Because their characters almost looked unrecognizable, even though it was like Elizabeth from Seven Deadly Sins, like crazy stuff. And I was so just in awe by this style that I was like, wait, I could do this too, realistically. And after like putting a lot of thought into it, and after like really like honing in on this style and doing my research on it and combining different subculture makeup styles into my work, I realized, okay, yeah, no, I need to stick with this. This is like a permanent change for me right now. Yes, it was a big one, and I wasn't sure if I would like it, but with realizing, okay, wait, like not only is this style unique, and not only do I feel like personally, like, how do I word this? Like personally attached to it, I realized my mutuals and other people around me at conventions will recognize me just from the makeup alone, Like I feel like a common thing that happens with me and my mutuals will be like, oh my gosh, I love your cosplay. I love yours too. Wait, you look familiar. Which mutual are you? And I realized like that's a common thing among cosplayers at conventions. Like you don't even realize you're talking to one of your friends until they bring up what their handle is on like social media, and you're like, oh, you're that person. I've seen you make this before. Okay, yeah, let's take a selfie. And then like you hang out for the con and you realize I didn't recognize my own friend. And I guess with incorporating this style, I realized like, wow, it's recognizable among photographers, it's recognizable among my mutuals, it's recognizable among new people I meet. So the next time they see me in a different costume, they can be like, oh, wait, that's that same person? And that's really like what makes me happy in knowing that, like, even though I was inspired by one artist, by putting your own spin on that, like, inspiration, you're still original for expressing it, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like I said, I love your makeup style, and it's so interesting how, like, as cosplayers, I feel like every cosplayer, no matter who you are, has like the thing they're known for, or has like the thing that makes them recognizable, like out in the wild. Like, if I'm not ever in JoJo makeup or like a JoJo costume, I don't think people genuinely recognize who I am. Like, I say, like, that's the day I go incognito because I don't think anybody knows what I look like outside of cosplay, minus a couple people that I talk to. So I love that you brought that up because it's so funny whenever when my friends saw me at a cosplay for the first time and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you have like brown hair and you don't have like lines all over your face." Like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, this is what I look like normally. Like, so I love that you brought that up too. And I also love that your style is something that you just incorporate in everything, and it's just something that's special to you. So speaking on inspiration from other people, if someone were to copy, or not necessarily copy, but emulate this Gyaru type style with the bigger eyes and the bigger lashes and tan skin, things like that. Because you've done it so much, how would you say somebody would go about it? Like, what advice would you give to a cosplayer, somebody who wants to try this for the first time?
I would just make sure that you know your sources, like even if it is just a quick Google search of what Gyaru even is, like understand your sources. And I also want to say, like, understand too that, like, as a non-Japanese person and just in general as a white person, like I do not tan my skin. I think that like when going into a subculture like this, you do need to understand like it does have some of its flaws. Um like if you want to go to a tanning salon or if you want to get like tanning cream or something, that is completely up to you. But some advice would be like, don't overdo it and just take it slow, take it easy, and know your preferences. Like, do you really want to do that, or are you just seeing so many other people do it that you feel like you're inclined to do it, you know? Um, and also like just love yourself, like love the way that you look and embrace the way that you look as you're doing this art form and everything. Like don't feel the need to change yourself just for clout or for like popularity or anything like that. Like I feel like I lost a lot of followers changing my makeup style because I wasn't canon anymore, like canon to the character. And I went so elaborate with my closet cosplay that, like, I don't know, I just wasn't really, excuse me, too many people's jam, you know? Um, so just keep in mind that, like, you know, there are popularity contests, but if that's the reason why you want to pursue that type of style, then maybe really think on what you really want and what type of inspiration you're going for, I guess is the best way I can put it.
Yeah, I definitely have seen people, or I've watched or seen people say that before, that if we've talked about this on the show actually, that if you're not canon to the character, people on the internet or people who are outside of the community like tend to get really upset for whatever reason. But I feel like that was something that all of us said. It was like, you don't have to be canon to the actual character for your cosplay to be valid or for your cosplay to be good. Like, you're still dressing up, and cosplay is such a journey to me that you just get better as you keep doing it. So if your cosplay is not be perfect the first time, or if it's not the way you want it to look, you can always you're always improving.
Exactly.
Um, and so yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. So going into that, why do you think that it is important for people to incorporate their own style and their own uniqueness into their costumes, even if it's not canon?
Because originality is so important to me and to so many people as well. Like if we didn't have originality, we wouldn't have like the type of art that we have today. We wouldn't have art history, and just so many things. And also, like, a part of me also just has this mindset of like, yeah, okay, I made a mistake on my makeup today. That's just an example. But that little mistake just shows that I'm human, you know? And with all of this AI stuff going around right now and all of these like AI scams and stuff, it's just, it kind of brings some comfort to people like me seeing little flaws of something so basic and simple like makeup that like, it's comforting knowing like, okay, well, in the end, I'm still human, and if this is what proves I'm human, so AI doesn't replicate it, then we're good, we're golden, And like, I just, I'm worried that art will die, but it won't die if people use originality and like their imagination and their ideas, because that's how stuff like AI goes out of business.
I agree. I agree. We do not like AI at cosplayisacommunity.com, ladies and gentlemen. That's something too that just as someone who works in a creative space, um, we are always constantly worried about AI. There's new updates that come out every single day for AI, anything, and we're just like, oh my God, like these robots could take our jobs, but in reality, I think it's very important that we remind ourselves that AI and robots can only replicate so much, and that at the end of the day, like you said, little mistakes just make us human. And I think we just have to keep reminding ourselves that we aren't anime characters, we aren't these perfect individuals, we're humans with flaws. I definitely agree with that 100%. So, one more question before we end everything and we go to the final question. So why do you think that people should be more accepting when it comes to people cosplaying stuff in different ways? Why do you think people shouldn't be upset, um, when it comes to that?
Because, I mean, people who get upset about not being canon to the character and stuff just honestly kind of make me mad, because you're basically fitting people into a bubble to all look the same. Like, don't get me wrong, like, there are lots of cosplayers who incorporate their own styles and stuff, and they still look like the character, like you recognize them as the character, but you know deep down they're not the character, and they're incorporating their head canons or using their imagination or whatever you want to say they're doing or what they say they're doing. Um, so people who don't like the creative aspect of cosplay, just they're just I just feel like they're fitting people in a specific bubble, and they're not giving anyone opportunities to be creative and be themselves. And like, if you cosplay canon to characters, I think that's great. Like, that is really hard to do, and like the amount of skill it takes to replicate an anime character, you know what I mean? But like, it's also super fun to make your own art, even inspire your cosplays off of fan art that you see, and come up with your own ideas of what would this character be doing right now in this specific situation. Or like, there's just so many possibilities that are beyond canon that can be very easily explored with some thought and with some imagination, that I feel like when people just fit cosplayers and just characters into very specific bubbles, it's just not fun and doesn't explore the artistic foundation of what cosplay is.
I agree with everything that you just said. It was beautifully said too. But
You.
um unfortunately, we're almost out of time. However, I have one final question for you, and you can take as long as you want to answer it.
Okay.
And it is, how has cosplay shaped you as an individual?
Hmm. I feel like it shaped me as an individual by really showing me like what people can be like, both positive and negative, as well as like how it can open up so many different opportunities. Like, depending on jobs I've applied for and careers I've considered, I probably wouldn't have gotten those jobs slash careers had I not put cosplay on my resume. And I know that sounds crazy, but like by doing that, I've met so many people, I've had so many opportunities, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. And I've learned what I like and what I don't like about doing that, you know? And I feel like with all those opportunities, I've gotten to see more of the world, and it's been great having that experience under my belt and like understanding that like without cosplay, I wouldn't have been able to do certain things, you know? I don't want to get too technical here, but if I wouldn't have said I was a cosplayer, I probably wouldn't have at one time in my life gotten a job as an entertainer, as like a party princess. It's only been a few gigs and it's behind me now, but like it's stuff like that that can really, really impact you as a person as well as what you do with your life, which is super important, not only for like making it in life, making money, stuff like that, building your career, building your resume, but also just like having fun with it and realizing like, wow, this craft has really taught me a lot. And I don't think a lot of people acknowledge that. A lot of people don't acknowledge that cosplay is so productive and cosplay gets you out of bed and puts you on your feet and helps you tackle like crazy situations. Like, what do you mean people are out here crafting like scythes and war hammers and like just costumes in general? Like, it's really opened my eyes to see how productive it really is and how like this community doesn't mess around. That's something I've got to say. Like it's really opened a lot of doors of inspiration for me and has only expanded my imagination. I thought I had a crazy imagination as a kid, but it's only expanded and it only keeps expanding. And it's fun considering myself an artist as well as a career woman, you know?
I love what you just said. And I hope your imagination stays big because I love what you do and you
Thank you
should
so
keep doing
much.
it because you just show you're just a prime example of all of these cosplayers who do so many different things and just go out of their way to do something different that no one else has seen before. And I applaud you for it, truly. It is something that we need in this community. So you're doing a great job. But unfortunately, we're out of time for today. But before we go ahead and tell the audience where they can follow you on social media.
All right, I got you. So, everyone, if you want to follow me on socials, I have an Instagram. It's under Abstract Kinetics. I am on temporary hiatus from it at the moment, but hopefully, I'll be posting some short form content there soon once more. I'm also on Discord. It's the same handle, Abstract Kinetics, except it has an underscore at the very end of the name, but it's not that hard to remember. It should pop up. I do plan on making a Discord server at some point just to help, cosplay support other cosplayers, other artists, stuff like that. And I am starting a YouTube channel soon. It has no content on it at the moment, but if you want to go ahead and subscribe to it, it is also just Abstract Kinetics, super easy to find. Should be one of the top searches because alphabetical order stuff, you know. I think that's it. Uh, yeah, hopefully I'll be back on Instagram soon, but the account is still available to follow. It's not deleted or anything, and that should be it. I don't think I'm missing anything.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Abstract, for being on the show today. It was really wonderful to talk to you. And thank you for listening as always. Remember, you can find all of the past episodes of Cosplay as a Community on both Spotify and YouTube. That's all I have for you today. Remember, cosplay is a community, so make it one. Goodbye, and we'll see you in the next episode.